right? Okay. I have, first of all, Baruch Atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asot b'divrei Torah. I'm going to interrupt you, Stanley. I've been trying to say something and it's been interrupted. People are asking. The thing that I didn't say yesterday that I didn't have a chance to say is that Hebron is one of those cities that the young people who are asked to protect the Jews there very often refuse to go.
The soldiers.
And the soldiers who were assigned there to protect the Jews. And a lot of them, the parents, object to having their sons and daughters protecting the Jews who insist on staying in Hebron. So that's the big news that I had.
That's the big news, but I'll tell you something. I've had more comment on yesterday's class than I've ever had on any class, and I appreciate it. I really do. Rebecca got me cornered, and I'm going to try to answer this. What this is? What is this? Hello. National Police Troopers. Okay, so. Anyway, it's Shabbos, and it's good to see you, and we're back together. You know that Joy Cohn's funeral was this past week, and that there's going to be a public event within the next 3 or 4 weeks, at least as I've been told. Next, calendar. It's so good to be with you. This was harrowing. Okay, so Donna, what are you eating that I'm not getting?
Blueberries, yogurt, breakfast.
That looks so good. Okay. By the way, I am now sitting at Cantor Gurney's desk. I am in the Cantor's office. And no one's ever treated me like a Cantor before. And this is so exciting. Okay. Kevin Cohn's bat mitzvah today, November 24th, Thanksgiving. The next current events class that I teach is November 30th. Saturday, there's going to be a film society near the end of the month. Okay, Cindy, is there anything coming up for Sisterhood?
Yes, we continue with our happy hour, which is open to women the second Tuesday of the month. If you want to be invited, just shoot me an email. We're going to have a tech class sometime in the winter. We're going to have 2 more, at least, armchair adventures to the Jews of Ukraine and the Jews of Prague. Those will be sometime in the winter. And Susie, you want to talk about Hanukkah party?
Susie, unmute. Susie? Okay.
It's going to be open to all members of Wilshire Boulevard on December 23rd at Froman's. It's no host. We'll be just celebrating. Susan Nannis is supposed to read a story, lighting the Hanukkahs, and just having a lovely Hanukkah celebration on December 23rd at 6 o'clock. Everyone's welcome.
Okay, super. We are going to dive right into the text 24:15, Genesis 24:15, in the Plout 157. 157. I don't have the women's commentary page. If someone has it, I was looking for
118.
Thank you. Okay, so we are Genesis 24:15. 24:15. I am just so happy and relieved to be with everybody. Okay, so, yeah, I had something for Eric that I wanted to bring with me. Oh, Rabbi Philip, what's his name, Eric, who passed away, was a rabbi working.
Philip Hyatt passed away a few months ago.
Yeah, and I
love the guy, but he got sick and discontinued the 8:30 morning Torah class, and I kind of missed him. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to extend condolences. I, of course, knew Philip Hyatt very well, and he was a scholar and a gentleman. And anyway, I knew that we shared that. Okay, so here we go.
Bye-bye.
We are in this wonderful set of stories about Genesis, right? Genesis and family dysfunction. That's what we do in Genesis. We show that families rip each other apart, which I find really, really important. By the way, Joseph Perling is on, and I want to indicate thank you to, even though he just went upside down, that Joseph Perling was the one who handled my transportation this morning, and thank you very much for that.
Which campus are you on, Rabbi?
Pardon?
Which campus are you on?
I think I'm at Irmis. I think I don't know. Oh, yes.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Pardon?
Good morning, it's Donna.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Definitely Irmis. Okay. So we have these wonderful things occurring, and Sarah is dead. Chaye Sarah, the Sedra, this is the life of Sarah. She died. Chaye Sarah. Now, after doing what we've talked about before, I checked my records, that Abraham goes out to buy a grave site in Hebron, in the cave of Machpelah. Now there's another job. He's got a younger son who is not married. And I'm going to insist on younger son. Why is that a question, please? Why is it a question? Cindy, please.
When it comes to the blessing, Rebecca switches the son, where Esau, the older son, should have had the blessing, and Rebecca fooled her husband.
Okay, but that'll be later on when they're all old and foolable. But at this point in time, Sarah had a kid late in life. Abraham, Sarah, a kid, Isaac, right? But Sarah was not able to conceive prior to that, so she assigned her maid servant, Hagar, to get together with Abraham. And Abraham and Hagar have a child. What is that child's name?
Ishmael.
Ishmael. Excuse me. The reality is that Ishmael is regarded as the founding father of the Islamic people. Isaac will be regarded as one of the three patriarchs, four matriarchs that constitute the foundation of the Jewish people. The intersection is Abraham is Ishmael's father. Abraham is Isaac's father. Isaac is the younger son, but the son born to Sarah. Sarah, after Isaac is born, becomes jealous of the presence of Ishmael. The text says that he was, I don't know, harassing Isaac, the younger kid. He was bullying him. It's hard to read the text and to know. Ishmael was doing it, so Abraham didn't know what to do. And Sarah said to Abraham, kick Hagar and her son out of the camp. This is not one of Sarah's proudest moments. Eventually, Hagar is kicked out by Abraham, and Hagar and Ishmael almost die for lack of water in the desert. Angels came, saved Hagar and Ishmael. I'm sorry. I have no access to liquid. I will quietly cough. So Ishmael is out there. Isaac is living at home with Sarah and Abraham. Abraham tries to sacrifice Isaac, the Akedah. That doesn't happen. Sarah dies. What is the next task for Abraham? What's the next task?
Barrier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got that. Definitely true. I should have said that better. Yes. Okay. I see Effie.
To get a wife for him.
He's got to find a wife. He's got to find a wife for Isaac. One of the things that's really interesting is how Abraham insists that Isaac must not marry a local woman. He wants Isaac to marry a member of Abraham's original extended family. You know, back when he was sent out by God, leave this place. Why? Why does Abraham worry about that? And I have to tell you, it's one of those things that continues as a narrative within the Jewish people. What's Abraham's concern?
She won't be.
I'm sorry? Steve Miller.
That he'll be corrupted. The gods were very personal, and he's afraid that his son will be seduced into following another god.
You're really right, Steve. The gods they're not only local. In other words, every town or every city, every region had its own god, but they were exclusive in their own way. If you remember how Ruth becomes Jewish. She becomes Jewish by marrying into a Jewish tribe, and thy people shall be my people.
Well,
yes, please.
Because I smell patrilineal versus matrilineal descent. When Rebecca favored Jacob to be the heir apparent, and so Jacob was begat by Rebecca. So the matrilineal the descendants was through the mother.
It becomes a very complicated problem, Eric, and that's true. It becomes a complicated problem. The deal is simple. If I'm living in Canaan and I'm surrounded by Canaanites and my son marries a Canaanite woman, what are the odds of my being able to maintain this new covenant they have with this God who is not recognized by anyone in Canaan? The answer, no. I'm not going to have a chance to do that. And so Abraham says, don't let my kid marry someone from local. I remember Risa and I were in India, in Mumbai. We stayed with very close friends. He was Jewish, and he was the son of the founder or the major domo of the congregation. He married a Hindu woman. They raised their kids as Jews. They gave them Hebrew names. But she had, I'm not going to remember the word, a puja, something like that. She had on her dresser a full array of Hindu worship implements. And she needed that. So Abraham is saying, if my kid marries a local woman and she starts bringing idols into the household, we're not going to make this new covenant thing work. But Abraham is old. So he turns to his servant and he says, you go back to my home. You find a woman who is appropriate, who comes out of my background, and bring her back for Isaac. I see a hand, Rebecca. We're talking a lot about you today, Rebecca.
Was Hagar a Canaanite?
I'm sorry?
Was Hagar a Canaanite?
Hagar, as we generally refer to her, it's a source of fascinating. She was the daughter of Pharaoh of Egypt. It all depends on which midrash you read. That's not Torah. But the rabbis wanted to figure out, how was she so qualified to be the mother of Ishmael, the founder of the Islamic people? So they assigned her to have been the daughter of Pharaoh. There is nothing about that in the Torah. Beyond that, we don't know. It says that she is a maidservant of Sarah. That's all we know. That's all. I mean, the assumption that she is certainly not from Abraham's hometown. So Abraham speaks to his servant and he says, I want you to go. I want you to find a suitable wife for Isaac. Oh, Steve Miller asked, what is that about the Quran? What did you ask, Steve?
I asked if the Quran has an answer to that question about who Hagar really is.
She's not a princess from Egypt. She's not that. But it floats. The rabbinic literature doesn't take a vote, but a bunch of people want that to be true. They have to build her up to be worthy of what would follow. Okay. What are the qualifications for being the wife of Isaac? Anybody? Okay. Well,
being a member of the tribe.
There's no tribe.
Well, there kind of is. His family is like a tribe.
Yeah, his family is sort of, but they didn't follow him into Yahweh worship. But, Dad was an idol worshiper. We know those midrashim. Cindy?
To be marriage age, kind, beautiful. As we know, standing by a well is good, and a virgin.
And fertile.
Yeah. Have any of you tried with your children to set up those parameters of acceptability? Can you imagine having that conversation with your kids? Whom should I marry? Well, kind, friendly, supportive, brings water from the well. Got to be beautiful. Got to be a virgin.
But Abraham didn't have the discussion with his kid, only with the wife finder.
It's an interesting thing. We have some interesting stuff to go here. So finally,
May I ask you a question, Rabbi?
Please.
I just ran away from someone that someone tried to set me up with last night at temple. I'm scared to death, so I'm going to talk to Reese about it later. I don't know what to do. Help.
I'm moving right on past that. Okay. Natalie, did you have your hand up or not? No, it's okay. I just, with my eyes, if I see any movement, I go to it. So in verse 15, before he was done praying, Eliezer is now in the old country. And he had seen Rebecca. The Hebrew, friends, is fun. Vayihi hu terem kila ledaber. Donna, what does that say?
When he was done speaking.
What does the English text say?
Before he was done praying.
Okay, that's my point. Okay, so the translator took diber, ledaber, midaber, which is clearly, unequivocally speak, not a question. When he was done speaking, translated as praying. And I kind of first took objection to that and then said, you know what, Davids? When you're praying, you're speaking. You're speaking to God, even if you're not uttering words. You're speaking. I remember Hannah, the mother of Samuel, was caught moving her lips in the sanctuary, and Eli the priest thought she was drunk, and she said, "No, I'm not drunk. I'm talking to God." And that was one of the first moments that became clear. And this is nice. So it was before he finished speaking, and behold, Rebecca is going out, and then he identifies her, Bethuel's son of Milcah, wife. She's the grandniece of Abraham. That's who she is. Rebecca, grandniece, Abraham. Now, this is typical of all Jewish brides. She was exceedingly...
She's just his niece, Rabbi, not his grandniece.
No, grandniece. I think grandniece, not niece.
She's the daughter of Abraham's brother.
We're going to have to go back in that, because you're right in the text. Who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, wife of Abraham's brother, going for... Yes, Steve, good point, but she is continually referred to as grandniece. Good point. I'll have to check why that's so, but it is.
So still Isaac's first cousin either way, she just might be once removed.
Either way, they were going to make pointing of the kids. Now,
wait. She's born to Bethuel, who is the son of
wife of
Abraham's brother's wife. So, in other words, she was the daughter.
Rebecca just showed up to feed the camel.
No, she's the daughter. She is the daughter of Abraham's brother and his wife Milcah.
I'm gonna let that one pass because I want to get to some fun stuff. But there is
you were right.
What did you say?
I said the point is you were right. It's his grand.
I'm not hearing you. I'm sorry.
You were right.
No. How did you get that?
I never. No, don't go back. I am happy. I don't get that at home. This is very important. Thank you.
Just read it. It says
she's the wife of Abraham's brother.
No, she's born to Bethuel, who is the son of the wife of Abraham.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So, Steve, was I wrong?
No, you were.
No, you were right.
Steve, I what? Steve?
Donna was right.
Rabbi, are you so you're not regularly right, so it's such a big deal when you're right?
Yes.
You're right all the time, then it's not a big deal. That must mean you're not right all the time.
Okay, now while we're doing this and the camel was fed or whatever, I am very pleased. I had the image of a little bit of Deus ex machina in this particular story. Eliezer goes out and is going to, shows up at a well, and lo and behold, standing there like waiting for him to finish the story is Rebecca. Okay, it's a nice narrative. Okay, now we have no youngsters here, so we're going to go ahead with what I'm going to teach. She was exceedingly beautiful, marriageable age, whom no man had yet known. The Hebrew Na'ara Tovat Marema Od, really good looking. Betula, this is the problem, is more in the Hebrew than the English. Betula can be translated as a young woman, or it can be translated as virgin. Where does that get to be a problem? It gets, Donna?
The whole Christianity thing.
Yeah, you know, is it a virgin will give birth or a young woman will give birth? You think that's a small matter? I would like to put before you, that's a big matter. Okay.
So, I think context and common sense give the right answer.
Okay, that's fine. Now, common sense has nothing to do here. Betula, a betula, the ish lo yada'a, and no man, the Hebrew knew her. And you remember from the Garden of Eden story, Adam knew Eve. Knew is a sexual combining, right? Mm-hmm. So no one, okay, now, it is possible that the medieval rabbinic commentators were not fully conversant with 21st century medical understandings. It is possible. I am going to read rather than summarize. A virgin, I'm reading rabbinic commentary here. A virgin is someone with an unbroken hymen. That's a virgin. Which is why anal sex was very widespread in the ancient Middle East. The virgin price will be paid for a woman with an unbroken hymen. That doesn't mean she didn't have a different form of intercourse. Okay? When I started reading this yesterday, it was like I wasn't aware of this. But, okay, but we go on. Breaking the hymen was incredibly important. You remember watching the shows about Orthodox Jews and marrying, I forget the names of those shows, and they had to have a bloody sheet? Mm-hmm. That's what they're talking about. So the proof is a bloody sheet, a broken hymen. It doesn't mean that the woman didn't have other forms of sexual contact with men. Now, I am reading Ibn Ezra. Listen to this. Rabbi is quoting. Neither had any man known her, Ibn Ezra says. That's redundant. If you be a virgin, you don't have to say no man knew her. So what's the point? Ibn Ezra, I am quoting. It is extremely unlikely that scripture would speak of abnormal intercourse. Now, here, you're going to have to help me out. The verse rather refers to a certain intercourse method wherein it is possible to sleep with a virgin and even to impregnate her without breaking her hymen. However, Ibn Ezra concludes, it's unseemly to describe how this can be done. End of story. Okay? So,
Rabbi?
Steve?
I actually recently read a medical article about the hymen, which is not a complete membrane. And a lot of these things are possible. In fact, the article said the best way to think of it is to think of a hair scrunchie. So what he's actually saying medically could be true. Because if you think about it, otherwise, if it were a solid membrane, menstruation couldn't happen without breaking the hymen.
Okay, I'm just going to ask, is that a solid fact, folks? Do you have any objection to that fact? I'm not expert. Is that a fact? I'm getting a yes. Okay, Steve, you by popular vote, that seems possible. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so that's our little bit into pornography in the ancient Middle East. I had never, prior to preparing for today's class, thought about the other possibilities for sexual encounter other than traditional. And Ibn Ezra, Rashi, and the others say, Davids, you don't know anything. So when they said she was a virgin even after a man slept with her, that's what they mean. I'm going to leave it.
Stan?
Yes, please.
The women's commentary makes reference back to 4:1, which says, blah, 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 both I and Adonai have made a man. And that also feeds into the Christianity issue.
How do you see that? Explain.
Well, because the man was intimate with his wife and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. So you would think that the statement would be that Eve says that Eve and Adam made a man, but she says, I and Adonai have made a man. And that can be translated that it's true that God made a man and she made a man, she made Cain. But it can also be that I and Adonai have made a man together. And that would feed into the virgin thing and Christianity.
It certainly would. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for that. I have
women's commentary.
Two participants. I see Zach's. Yes. Okay. Zach, you had your hand up. You don't? Okay. Put your hand down. I am Brad.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm seeing this connection to Christianity. I mean, in Christianity, the virgin birth has to be a virgin birth because of the concept of the original sin.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, Christ would be tainted by the original sin. And yes, that's why the birth has to be a virgin birth. So I'm not sure I understand the connection with this passage here, because we have no concept of the original sin.
We have, but by the way, the point is extremely well taken. What we're looking at is how commentators will manipulate the text to their benefit. And you're right. And you're right. Judaism has no concept of virgin birth. And the idea that a virgin could give birth is not at all Jewish. Therefore, in the Isaiah text, a young woman will conceive and bear a child is the standard translation. You go to a Christian Bible, a virgin shall conceive and bear a child. And the need, and Brad is totally correct, the need for this, for there to be with Mary no transmission of original sin to her son. He has to be born without original sin. Therefore, it has to be a virgin birth. Daddy is God, not any human being. Thank you. Yes. I want to go on. This is interesting, and believe me, a lot of Talmud text is spent on it. Vayaratza Eved likrata, and Eliezer, the slave, the servant, ran toward her and said, "Let me have a sip." That's a very polite thing. What we're going to witness in these simple dialogues, and there's not deep, fancy stuff here. This is a simple thing. I'm not going to ask you to bring up a whole bucket of water for me. Give me a sip. Give me a sip. And she replied, Shtei Adoni. The rabbis like this. He's a servant, maybe a slave. She addressed him as sir. Yes, his humanity is there. And she said, drink, sir. Vatamaher vatered kada al yada vatashkehu. This is a lovely picture. And she hastened and she lowered her pitcher on her hand. Can you get the image? She has a pitcher of water. She puts the pitcher on her hand in this way so that Eliezer could take a drink. Okay, you get it? The rabbis love the word vatamaher. She hastened. Do you remember from that brilliant class I taught a year ago or something on Musar? And one of the values in Musar is zirizut, hastening. And I pointed out that when you walk through Mea Sharim or other Orthodox segments of Jerusalem, you will see the Hasidim fast walking or running. It's standard. They don't stroll. Zirizut means the best way to approach a mitzvah is to really go for it. And you should always be on the move to do a mitzvah. The fact that Rebecca hastened to give water, by the way, we had another use of the word hastened, to give food. When the three angels appeared before Abraham, what did he do?
He hastened to make food.
He hastened to bring food. Okay? And Sarah hastened to make it. Hastening is a good thing. You don't let the guest sit there and kind of wait. So, and she let Eliezer drink. And when he finished drinking, she said, Gam l'gmalecha eshav ad im kilu lishtot. She said, I am also going to give water to your camels. I did a little bit of research. Okay? I did a little bit of research.
May I ask you a question, please?
Well, I'm trying to, yes, okay. Well, I'll get back.
Okay.
How much water does a thirsty camel drink?
A
lot.
A lot is not a technical measure. 20 gallons.
Wow. How do we know they were thirsty?
They were just out in the desert.
The birthday's June the 20th. Oh, Lord, please.
20 gallons. I'm letting all those comments float by.
Okay.
Here's another one for those of you who are specialists in animal husbandry. How much water is held in a camel's hump? You never
Dromedary or Bactrian?
Pardon?
Dromedary or Bactrian?
Oh, my God.
Steve, you're in a bad mood today, right? Okay. I'll take whichever hump you want to point to, one or two, whatever. How much water is stored in that hump?
A lot.
Answer, pardon?
didn't think it was stored in the hump.
It's not.
Oh, I thought
There's no water.
There's no water in the hump.
There is no water stored in a camel's hump. So we have just dispelled a rumor that has existed for thousands of years. There is no water storage in a camel hump. And when the camel is drinking 20 gallons, that water in the camel physiology is being absorbed directly into the bloodstream. So the water goes directly into the bloodstream, is stored there, and the camel is watered that way for the next little bit. Okay, Cindy.
It actually doesn't matter because last year you said that camels did not exist there at that point in history.
And you believe that?
You said it.
God, my own words, correct as they are, came back to haunt me. Because in fact, at that point in that location, there were no camels, as far as we know. There were no camels, though they show up a lot because the stories are written by, what should we call them? The post-camel era authors. Yes. And so they put camels back into the story. But it's still, please allow me this, if Steve will allow it. When she said, I'm going to water your camels, this is a big deal. She's going to have to bring up from the well 20 gallons of water for each camel. Okay?
Wow.
Okay? So this is a big deal. It's a big deal of that she's doing. But the rabbis want to solve the problem. I started doing this preparation. I was enjoying myself. Do you know that when Rebecca came to the well, the water level rose to meet her?
Wow. Wow.
Okay. Now, then, happy to learn that, it is not in the Torah, happy to learn that, I started thinking, women, wells,
Miriam.
Okay? Miriam. A well traveled with Miriam all through the 40 years wandering in the desert. That well disappeared when she died. Miriam had a lot to do with water. I mean, she walked through the Reed Sea, right? But more than that, what was her other connection with water? What did she do with baby Moses?
There you
go. Right? So Miriam's got, the women have all kinds of magical, scary powers, especially connected with water. Especially connected. I picture Macbeth and the witches and the pot, but especially connected with water. Okay, so we are just going on.
May I ask you one question, please?
Please.
Would the temple be considered a well? We don't have wells like in Israel, in America. So when you go to shul, and a lot of people were there last night. Would the temple be considered a well?
No, first of all, your first part of your statement is questionable. There are wells all over America from which people draw water.
I know. I mean, I'm talking about the women meet at the well. Usually romance happens at the well. So romance can happen at the temple.
Oh.
Well, I think the agreed upon alternative to meeting at the well is Starbucks. But we're going to go forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Scientifically, how does the water in the well rise above the level of the aquifer?
You're in a bad mood. Are you attacking miracle? Steve, give me a break. If you're believing that the water rose, I'm going to say it doesn't worry about the aquifer, okay? it was one of those things. But let's just go on. Let's see. What did I do here? I went to Tolda. I lost my place? Okay, so as he was done praying, Rebecca came in. She drew the water. Quickly, this is verse 30. Quickly, once again, she emptied her pitcher in the trough, and a pitcher in a trough, it's not going to be a lot. Ran back to drawing water for all his camels, the non-existent camels, Cindy, okay? But the camels nonetheless. Veha'ish mishta'eh la macharish ladat hatzliach Adonai darko imlo. The Hebrew is messy. It apparently means that the man stood awestruck. I would use that. He was jaw gaping open. He was looking at this woman, thinking about his instructions. So she had to be pretty. She had to be a relative. She had to be, a good-hearted person. This is the person right in front of him. And he was mishta'eh la macharish. Macharish means silently. He was dumbstruck. It's a great picture here, right? It's a great picture. The guy was dumbstruck, knowing that God perhaps had caused him to succeed. The rabbis say, because they always ask, why was he dumbstruck? Why was he silent? Low air pressure can raise water. Oh my God. Okay. The rabbi said Eliezer wanted to know whether she was going to give him a bill. She went to the well. She drew all this water. She was taking care of his non-existent camels. And then Eliezer was like, is she going to say, okay, sir, that'll be 10 shekels silver? And she didn't. It's perfect. It's wonderful. So now, look what happens after he's dumbstruck. Verse 22. When the camels were done drinking, all of them, the man took a gold nose ring, a half shekel in weight, and 2 bracelets for her wrists, 10 shekels in weight. What's going on?
He's in love.
Oh, he's
No,
not.
He's not.
No, not Eliezer.
No, I mean, Abraham.
He's
at
testing.
the well.
He's testing her.
Oh, okay.
You don't, Risa, please.
He's testing her.
I think at this point, I would be rather saying he's gifting her. He is going to. Yeah, I grew up in Cleveland. We had suburbs. And in high school, we knew how many cashmere sweaters a girl owned by knowing what her address was. Forgive me.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Okay, I am speaking truth. It is not comfortable truth, but it is truth. And we young men at Cleveland Heights High School often graded our dates on the size of their cashmere sweater assortment.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
We call that the good old days, right?
Oh.
Okay. Now, he is telling her by handing her that gold that he comes from a very rich man. So he wants her to be interested too. But the rabbis say, oh no, Eliezer wouldn't be so crass. Look at the sentence again. What did he give her? Verse 22. The rabbis are so good at this. I love it. Verse 22. What did he give her? He gave her
a nose ring.
Pardon?
Gold bands for her arms.
Yeah. Oh, I got that stuff. It's written there. That's not what the rabbis are looking at. He gave her 2 bracelets for her wrists, indicating that through her, the Jewish people will stand at Sinai and get the 2 tablets of stone.
Oh.
Didn't you perceive that?
No.
But Cindy, shame, because it repeats the image. Now, can you help me? 10 gold shekels in weight.
10 commandments.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and people say, Davids, why do you love to study rabbinic literature? Because sometimes it's damn funny. It's really interesting what the rabbis will do to create an environment. Okay.